Today we are going to talk about FIFA World Cup. As you can see on the PowerPoint, this is the football clothes that made in Taiwan and had been used in 2014, the Brazil team. And it had some economic impact that made from the FIFA World Cup. And it is our outlines. We classified it into three parts. The first part is the origin of FIFA World Cup. And the second one is the introduce of 2010 and 2014 FIFA World Cup about the economics and social aspect. And the third one is the summary. Let us welcome the next speaker to tell us more information about the origin of FIFA World Cup.
When we talk about the FIFA World Cup, we can trace back to 100 years ago. The FIFA World Cup originated from the FIFA recognized the Olympic tournament as a World Football Championship for amateurs. So FIFA started to plan a game for professional players, but due to the outbreak of the World War I, it had to be postponed. After the war, the FIFA president Jules Rimet was devoted to restart the plan. Finally, the first tournament was started at Uruguay and at September 8, 1930, and held it quadrennial henceforward. Let's welcome the next speaker to tell about the way to choose next hosting country.
You can see the host countries and their performance in World Cup from 1930 to 2014. And you can see that home advantage also applies to World Cup. Most teams have better performance when the game is held in their country. And how do they decide where to hold the game? This decision-making power is in FIFA. And except 2002 and 2010, the other games were held in America or Europe. And let's welcome the next speaker to tell us the advantage of hosting a World Cup.
Okay, let me show you the World Cup final held in South Africa in 2010. And I'm going to analyze it through the economic aspect. And here, this is the official mascot for the 2010. It is the Zakumi, and it is the African leopard with green hair. And many related products were launched in the forms of t-shirts and polo shirts. And the next one is about the Cape of Good Hope. And when it comes to the tourists, Cape of Good Hope can be the best representatives. The FIFA fostered the development of the tourists in the South Africa. And as you can see in the pictures, this is the bar graph about the GDP for South Africa between 2001 to 2010. And the horizontal axis represents the year, and the vertical axis stands for the GDP. And you can see it grows sharply between the 2009 to 2010, and it climbs to its peak in 2010. And let's welcome the next speakers to have more details for Brazil held the FIFA World Cup in 2014.
Okay. When you see this picture, you will feel that the Brazil is the host country of the World Cup. But try to think carefully and deeply. You will know that a large amount of money is behind a simple paper. And next, we can see this graph. This graph shows that the visitor spendings in Brazil from 2010 and 2014, and we can find the hospitality part. Hospitality part is majority. So, so that means restaurants and hotels in Brazil gain profit from tourists. And to sum up, we change the money unit from Brazil money to US dollars, and we find that the Brazil tourism industry gains as much as 2,200 million US dollar from the World Cup. This is how a big number it is. So welcome the next presenter to tell us the disadvantages of hosting a World Cup.
And I will introduce the disadvantage side of hosting a World Cup. The main problem is the relocation and workers' rights, because the government had to build a large stadium for the World Cup. And the next one is the chaos that happened during the activities. And the last one is the beginning of the protest. But why would people want to protest? We'll take Brazil for example. The reason is because the government spent billions of money on constructing the stadium for the World Cup. Therefore, they decreased the expenditure on people's welfare and social problems, such as education, housing, healthcare, or violence. And the result is that people really don't want this situation to happen. Therefore, they decided to protest against the government for hosting the World Cup. And let's welcome the next speaker to show the most information about the Brazil protest.
Before the World Cup commenced, there has been a lot of people protesting against it. This is a graffiti on the streets in Brazil. We can see that a child is looking at a soccer ball on the plate with his eyes filled with tears. This obviously shows the rage for the sacrifice the government made for the World Cup. In May 5th, 2014, in a month before the World Cup commenced, about 10,000 people held a demonstration against the World Cup in at least 12 cities. In the biggest city in Brazil, the protesters even burned the tires, leading to a serious traffic congestion. They criticized it as a World Cup without people. Let's welcome the next big speaker to make a conclusion.
Okay, sum up. Although we can see the revenue of the holding countries bigger and bigger, however, we can also see that the cost to hold the World Cup is coming bigger too. So I think it is important for a country to consider more how they spend their budget, or there may be some protest to maybe about workers or education. I think this should be considered more. And this is our presentation. Thank you. And this is our reference.